Welcome, everyone. It is Jessica Motter, your host of the Empowering Freedom podcast. I'm so excited to be with you today. We have a special guest. I know you guys are like, hey, we haven't heard any episodes recently. Well, guess what? I'm so honored to have Caliah Jinaye here with us today. She has her own podcast. She's an amazing mom, just entrepreneur, just all the things. And Caliah, do you want to just maybe share with us like your vision? Like kind of like where you started with, I know you started a podcast. So tell us kind of how all of that came up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jessica, for having me. Shout out to everyone listening. Hey, I'm Caliah Jinaye, and I'm confident, cute, and committed to excellence. So, Crown Level Confidence, my podcast, was not something I ever thought I would do at all. I definitely had like a Jonah in the whale type situation, running from God a little bit. He was like, "Hey, you're gonna do this podcast," and I was like, "No." But you don't really tell God no. You just end up doing it anyway because He said. So fast forward to when I stepped into obedience, right? I figured, okay, I have a coaching business. I'm a consultant. I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of different crowns, so to speak. And this was God's way of amplifying other women's voices to help build confidence for other women, and kind of realizing that as a community, we can stick together and have candid conversations, right? Let the listeners listen in on what women are really going through. And it's not sugar coated. It's not repackaged. It's not all cute and bubbly and easy to digest. It is what it is. And because there's so much real life happening, but we don't see it presented to us in standard media ways. So it was my charge to, like I said, amplify those voices, have guests on my show, get into whatever they feel comfortable talking about and the depth that they feel comfortable sharing their stories, and tie it all back into building confidence, because really that's the foundation that allows us to be able to execute our goals, right? To stand up for what we believe in, to represent ourselves in the way that we truly need to show up in the world. It all kind of comes back to, do we even feel confident enough to do it? And so those are the kinds of conversations that I am charged with having on the show.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm just so glad that you were obedient in that, because I feel like that's kind of what brought us together, right? Like
Yes.
it was like our starting point. So thank you for sharing that. Well, let's hear about who you are. Like, who are you? Where'd you grow up? Tell us kind of your journey. Like, I mean, we don't want to be here all day, but like
Sure.
share like, I mean, I know you from your dad. So like I met your dad and he connected me to you. He's
Yeah.
like, you guys are like two peas in a pod. You guys need to meet. So tell me more about you. Like, what was your childhood like?
Absolutely. I'm originally from San Diego, California. So a lot of people outside of the state know me as Callie from Cali. That kind of makes it a little bit easier to remember. A Caliah can be a mouthful, and I respect that. So about me, I'm an only child, right? Military family background, Christian military background. So lots of structure, lots of rules, all of that jazz. But for me, I grew up in a lot of different communities. San Diego is a pretty big, diverse place. So from elementary school, I was exposed to Spanish, right? So don't give me a pop quiz now, but I'm pretty fluent. I can understand probably more than I could speak very quickly. But you get me in the right environment long enough, and you wouldn't really know the difference. So having to, like I said, grow up in different neighborhoods kind of shaped my ability to kind of be a chameleon, being an only child, kind of taking my personal culture everywhere I went and kind of adapting it to the people I was around and different kinds of conversations.
Mhm.
Like I said, growing up in San Diego, being heavily involved in my church there where I grew up has really shaped a lot of my worldviews, and how I approach things. So fast forward, I went to college in Monterey Bay, shout out to the Central Coast, and I studied humanities and communication with an emphasis in pre-law. So you would have talked to me once upon a time during that era, I was going to be a lawyer. I was going to do this, that, and the other. And then I was able to heed the wisdom of those that were in the profession doing what I wanted to do. And they said, based on the life goals you also want to have, we don't advise you to take this career path. And I said, oh, I prayed about it. And an opportunity worked up for me to go into corporate America. So I started working for Target as in their executive team lead program. And I was making good money after college, doing all the things. And we had another pivot or I did not work that job anymore. I was fired. Oh my gosh, it was so
Oh, it's
heartbreaking.
okay. I was too. It was the biggest blessing.
And once you recover, you bounce back is one of the most devastating things that can happen to a person. But I was able to, with God's grace, recover, bounce back, and moved back home and started working a different corporate job, right? And went through the ringer with that. Somewhere along the way, I started my master's in communication management from University of Southern California, so back in SoCal. And God was really working on me. I went through a very challenging time. I've walked through severe anxiety and depression disorder, um, a lot of multiple challenges in just every area that you could think of, physically, emotionally, financially, just all of the different ways just coming at me, and still persevered, still ended up in a relationship. Probably, I tell my husband all the time, like, you met me at the worst possible time in my life, and you still you're still here. Like, okay, glory to God, because how else would this miracle have happened?
Right.
That's not to say I wasn't, bringing my best. I was showing up in the best ways I could at the time, but ooh, in retrospect, it was a rough, rough time. And because of how great God is, He was still able to use all of that darkness and still have me come out with a shine. So I appreciate that. And fast forward a little bit further, we get married. We move to Metro Atlanta area. So I'm in Georgia now, buy our house. 6 months later, the world shuts down. We get into COVID, and I'm a newlywed trapped in a house with a gamer. So he was living his best life on quarantine, and I was over here like, I can't have any parties. I'm alone. So again, another darkness, but we made it through. And fast forward a little bit, we got a dog. Then we started having babies, and now I have a newborn. And it's just been amazing to see all of the different ways that God has brought me through these different chapters, triumphs and challenges. And so, there's no way of telling any version of my story without giving Him the ultimate glory and just making sure everybody knows that it was not me and my greatness. It was just really how God put me through.
Hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I wish I would have hit like the Facebook Live button on this, because oh my goodness, I'm like, can I hit it now?
You can.
It's so good. It's so good, right? I'm like, let me just go live on Facebook too, because it's so good. Everything you're sharing, just is incredible. Um, Let me just real quick hit the button so I can I can put it out there, because I'm like, somebody needs to hear this right now, right?
All
Like,
right.
here we are in a world of people needing hope. They're struggling. I feel like every time I think, oh yeah, like the world's getting better, things are going better, like I'm like,
Mhm.
somebody needs to hear this today, because like you said, giving glory to God, right?
Absolutely.
And giving Him all the glory for everything that you've gone through in your life. And okay, so tell me, your podcast, where can they find Crown Level Confidence podcast at?
Wow. So I always say anywhere podcasts are available, but YouTube, Spotify, Audible,
I always say
Google
anywhere
Playlists,
podcast is available,
iHeartRadio,
but
wherever
YouTube,
you listen to podcasts, we
Spotify,
are there.
Audible.
You
I
just
always say
type in Crown
anywhere
Level
iHeart.
Confidence podcast and we pop up right away.
Okay, great, great. I think I had it. I'm like hearing you twice here. I have Facebook open. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm back.
Cool, no problem.
So you can tell it's been a while since I've done a podcast. I think the kids went to school and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do some other stuff for a while. But they always like challenge me, like they always give me ideas and my creativity comes in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've gotta get out there more. So what is, as a new mom, like the things that you're doing, I'm like, for us both to have a, podcast interview on your podcast, my podcast. I'm like, how are you doing all of this? Right?
Yeah,
How are you
absolutely.
doing
I get
all of
asked
this?
that a lot, actually. And every single time I have to reiterate that for everything I do, there are several things I don't do. Nothing happens in a vacuum. I've got an amazing, loving husband that is so supportive. I've got a virtual team that is amazing. And more importantly, I would, yes, obviously the most important and underneath it all from the inside is my relationship with God, because God walking with me and the Holy Spirit living in me is basically how I can get through anything at any point in time. Like I said, the peaks and valleys. I even got a tattoo that God is greater than the highs and lows, because the highs and lows are bound to happen regardless, right? You can make plans all day long, set goals, do all the things, but like as the cool kids say, life be lifing, you know? And so when things don't go as expected, or I'm prone to being anxious or whatever it is, and my husband's not available, my VA is not available, or whatever the things that are happening that I can't see, the progress that's being made that I can't monitor, I have to fall back on my confidence and my faith in God and the Holy Spirit, and that dispensation living with me and walking with me on a daily basis, minute by minute. Like when the Bible says pray without ceasing, that's real. Because in all things, and giving glory and honor back to God, because in the moments where I slip, because I'm not perfect, in the moments where I slip, I'm like, oh, I got this, I'm that. And then I realize I'm trying to do it in my own strength, the full weight of everything that's going on, it feels, it's heavy. I'm like Peter, where I'm like skipping, walking on water, and I start to sink. And then I'm like, okay, wait, no, that's a sign. I need to give it back to God. Like, let me just give you this to you right back, because I cannot carry it all. And I believe that that's what Jesus meant when he said, my that our burden should be light, in following him. And it doesn't mean we won't be challenged, but
Mm.
he carried the cross already. So let me just give let me just give this back to you so
Right?
that I can, shine bright and be the light to point people to you anyway. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, who would you say is your audience? Like, do you have an avatar or like a specific audience that you really seem to speak to in your podcast or on your social media? Like, kind of tell us like who you are usually like targeting. Not, I won't say targeting, but
yeah,
who do you
I'm
really find
targeting.
like, yeah, who really is listening to what you have going on, who's kind of the people that you want to connect with too. I would say like, who do you want to connect with? Like, if I can help
Yeah,
you with anything, I'm a connector, I'm a passionate connector. So
absolutely.
who can I connect you with? Like, what are the types of people that you want to have here this today?
Absolutely. So the people that resonate with me the most are women 25 to 45, right? They're in their careers, they know what they want to do. They are often high level achievers, right? They have a sense of accomplishment already, and they already have a good sense of confidence, who they are, what they want to be, what they want to do. But again, in the back of their minds, something is tripping them up, right? They're super confident in their work, but maybe in their personal relationships are struggling, or vice versa. Like I said, there's so many different categories to confidence. We don't have time to go through them all. But they
Right.
know, that they're the kind of women that say, well, on paper, fill in the blank, but fill in the blank. And I help them to, figure out what those things are and strategically come up with a plan as to how to overcome those obstacles. I shared with you privately, I've overcome perfectionism, right? So I'm okay with life being messy, even though I'm able to present it in a polished way. That's a skill, right? To be okay with yourself at all times, that's a skill. To overcome imposter syndrome, that's a skill. It's not a talent, right? Because I believe talents you're born with, but skills you perfect over time, right? You get better. You may have a setback here or there, kind of like muscles, right? When you go to the gym, you show up, in no matter what your size is, your muscle strength, if you want to get better, you want to get toned, you're going to have to do those daily things to build those muscles. It's going to be sore. It's going to hurt. And ouch, but you do things strategically to recover. So just like we do with our bodies, I help you with your mindset on the inside and kind of get those ideas out of your head, right? Like I said, high achieving women, they have goals. They have things that they want to do, but for some reason there's something standing in the way. So I help remove those barriers and kind of get them back on track where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say like is your focus right now? Because I know you have all these amazing crowns that you wear: consultant, speaker, coach, trainer, the host for this
Oh
podcast, host,
yeah.
crown level confidence podcast. So what new mom of like two
Yeah.
young babies under
Two
two,
under
like
two.
a
Yeah.
newborn and one under two. Like, how do you like what would you say like if you meet somebody at Starbucks or a coffee shop and you're like, hey, I mean, they always ask you, so who are you? What do you do? Right? Like people
Yeah.
always ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say when someone asks you, what do you do?
Yeah. I help high level leaders solve high level problems.
Okay. Yeah. Love it.
Because you could say, well, I like to know, I'm solution based. So all of those different things you described are ways I solve problems. You have a corporation or you lead a team and your team has an organizational culture problem. Okay, I'm going to help you solve that problem. You have a mindset issue, you need a coach, I'm going to help you solve that problem. You want to promote, you're an author, you want to promote a new program or you want to promote your book, come on my podcast. I'll help you solve that problem. I'll help you market it. There's all of these different ways that people need solutions, and I provide them with all those different titles I have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned something too, like you have a team, like, I think that's the biggest thing too is I mean, high level achievers, like the fact that you have assistants and team and everything. Like, I think that's probably one of the things that, like, as a high level achiever, you said you're recovering from that, is to let other people like help you, right?
Yes.
Right. And as a new mom, like, like having your husband there to help you, like, it's definitely something that, you probably had to step into. I know I had to step into it too, right? And I'm still
Yeah.
stepping into it. Like we haven't arrived yet. We're still
No.
working on us as well. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So what would be if you had a magic wand
Hmm.
and you could do anything, you could go anywhere, you can, like what would be like your dream right now?
Ooh.
Time and money aren't an issue.
Ooh. Oh, those are my favorite words. That's my favorite disclaimer. Time and money not being an issue. What I would be doing right now is traveling with my babies. And I know that sounds like a huge undertaking, and people are like, oh my gosh, I would never. I love traveling with my babies. And, but what that looks like though, because since time and money is an issue, is having a full-time travel nanny, an au pair, come with us. Um, my children, well, my daughter has a passport. My son, it's in the works. But yeah, we would be gone. My husband, it's optional for him to come because I don't make people, he doesn't like to travel necessarily, and I don't believe in like trying to force things. So if he wants to be at work, he could be at work. But as for me and my babies, we would be we'd be on a cruise because cruising is my favorite way to travel. I would take a flight to maybe Australia and cruise from there and just kind of go like 11 days maybe with my full-time nanny and recording content, maybe record a webinar while I'm out there on the ocean, finish my book. I'm working on a book series. And yeah, I would just, and I would need to bring a photographer.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely having a photo shoot. If you know me at all, there's going to be a photo shoot. So time and money not being an issue, that's what we'd be doing. I'd pack them up, fly first class to Australia, take my 11-day cruise with my babies and my full-time nanny, and just work remotely from the cruise.
There you go. I love it. It sounds like me. I think we should just like team up and get someone to watch both of our kids
Yes.
while we just like go and create and like have a photographer, all that. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, the girls are out for summer and I'm like, okay, what can we do? I'm like, we have all this freedom, right? Like we
Mhm.
could go anywhere, do anything, right? So yeah, that's amazing. I love it. I have a dream board over here. My girls have dream boards, and today they asked if they could get a new dream board because like they had a puppy on it, right? And we have a
Okay.
new puppy. So
Okay.
I love it because they're like, dreaming all the time. So yeah, I love that you shared your dream with us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. So where do you feel like is your biggest struggle?
My biggest
And I know
struggle.
we're completely like off the
No,
cuff here.
it's good. I love
I
I
didn't,
love
we
a
didn't
good
have these
candid
questions.
conversation.
We didn't have these questions before. And I didn't
No.
even think of these questions before.
No. My biggest struggle is, okay, I'm gonna be so vulnerable here.
Yeah, go for it.
My biggest struggle is following through, like completely, right? I have all of these ideas, all of these different ways I want to help people. And sometimes, occasionally, more often than I would like to admit, I overcommit in my personal life, right? Because I'm like, oh, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And then I like end up testing that strength. And it's like, well, girl, you need to calm down.
So you're a
And
high
so,
achiever.
yeah, so it comes back to adjusting the expectations, being realistic, taking care of myself, and, really recommitting to all of the ways I have learned to take care of myself over time.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of times my husband could tell you, he's witnessed it the most. I get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
And as a coach, for anyone who doesn't have a coach, if you're looking for a coach, you need to make sure your coach has a coach. Okay.
Mhm.
So who is your mentor? Who is your mentor being mentored by? And I have several for like different things. I kind of call them my life board of directors, if you will. So everybody that has their different ways that they chime in to when I make decisions or when I'm going through something, how I talk to now. They don't all know each other at all, but they all offer different perspectives into my decision making processes. And they'll kind of tell me in their own ways. They have a way of letting me know, okay, you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, you're not taking care of yourself. Whatever, what have you. And I appreciate that. So for the person who is listening to this and you're like, did she just say she helps high level leaders, but then sometimes she struggles with overcommitting and overachieving? Yes, because this is life and that happens.
Right.
But it's how you come back from it, and like I said, just be vulnerable, because there's no like secrets to success, right? You just kind of have to keep showing up. That's how you become the most successful. And so yeah, that's my problem, and that's how I try to address it.
Well, thanks for being real with us because I think, like, I think we just need to be real with everybody. Like, we don't have it all figured out. Like, here we are stepping into one thing at a time, right? I know you and I like tried to do this podcast thing a while back,
Yeah.
right? And I like follow through. I'm like, I don't know what the stumbling block was for me, but just getting it on the books, right?
Hmm.
And committing to it. And so I know that God has us here and, we can, just rest in his arms. And at the same time, like this is a community of supportive people, um, like empower. So I have these emotions, right? And one of them that I named over the weekend was empowered love and
Mm.
just giving people love no matter where they're at, right? Like this heart behind me, right? Like I do like just giving people like love all the time because we're not physically in the same place. Like you're in Georgia, I'm in Kansas, right?
Mhm.
But here we are online together as moms, as creators, as podcasters, as speakers, as coaches, as women of faith, just showing up despite all the things we could have excuses for. We could have excuses
Absolutely.
that I have my kids, I'm at home, it's too
Right.
busy, I'm overwhelmed, the laundry isn't done, the
Yeah.
dishes aren't done. Like we could be like giving all these excuses, right? But we're like, nope, here we are, showing up right here, right now.
Absolutely.
Let's go. It's time to
Yeah.
go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is like your biggest tip for someone who is struggling with their confidence? Like, I know you do coaching, so like, don't give all your stuff away, but like, what would be one thing you could tell them that maybe if they're struggling with some confidence?
Yeah. What I like to do with any action-based plan is to break it down, right? So, like I shared before, my philosophy on confidence is it's so broad, right? I would say, okay, someone said to me, Clay, I'm struggling with confidence. I would say, in what way comes to mind? Because the tip that I'm going to come up with or how I'm going to help, it really depends on what that is, right? So the first thing you need to do is to be aware. You have something that's so big and it just seems kind of arduous, kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't, right? Like the saying, you can eat an elephant one bite at a time, or you
Mhm.
can build your confidence in one area at a time, right? So if you don't like what you see in the mirror, okay, maybe you need to try a different lip gloss color. Maybe you need a foundation match. Maybe you need an introduction to skincare, right? What are some small steps that you can take And that doesn't even have to be complicated, because you can go to Sephora, you can even do virtual makeup. You need to refresh your look. There are different ways we can do that from the comfort of your own home. Or you might say, I'm not confident in my work. Okay, do you need to take a course online, to refresh? Do you need a new certificate? Do you there are different ways to build your confidence. And so, but it's always going to start with some kind of action, right? One step, conquer a win in whatever category that is. And I encourage you to break it down so that way you're not like, I just want to be a better person. Wrong answer. That's too much. You need to experience some success in order to want to continue to do it, right? So you're kind of rigging the game in your favor, because subconsciously you're going to want to continue to participate. If it feels too hard or too big, you're likely to give up, and you say, oh, well, that's just not for me. I'm just not like her. You go down this rabbit hole. That's totally unnecessary. So my biggest tip is to narrow down what kind of confidence you want to build first, and then find a way to win in that area, so that way you can keep going and stay invested.
Yeah, absolutely. I also, believe too, sometimes people like start deferring accountability. They start feeling sorry for themselves because they're not where they thought they would be. And they, just make excuses, oh, this person this or that person that, or my boss or this, and it's just like, I think about like even health, right? Like someone wants to be healthier, like you can cook what you want to eat. Like you choose what you eat, right? And you choose your actions and your motion, and like if you're doing weights or whatever, like you control your actions. Just like in business, you control your actions. And so figuring out what actions you need to take towards those goals and that confidence. And like, do you do any type of like affirmations and things like that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what are
Just
some
like
of your favorite ones?
oh, well, like when I introduce myself, I'm confident, cute, and committed to excellence. So those things are intentional. Yes, I'm nerdy, and there's some alliteration there.
I
Shout out
love it.
to Elastic out there. But so being confident, cute, and committed to excellence, those things are important pillars to me. Confidence, not just from the world's perspective, but in terms of my faith, right? Being the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, right? So there's no way I could have the high, and I reckon it's a high level of confidence that I have without having the faith in God and in my relationship with Christ. So that's huge. Cute, hey, because if you follow me at all, you'll know that I've been on this weight loss journey. And just really quickly, I remember, so I've experienced almost 100 pounds of weight loss
Oh,
in the
wow.
last 4 years. And people would say, oh, you knew me before, you look at my pictures, oh, but you were still cute, or you were still pretty. Okay, but I didn't say I wasn't. I just wanted to be healthier, right? So being cute or being beautiful has always been a part of me. I just wanted to be a smaller version of this, right? And committed to excellence is my way of, my communicating my ethic, right? And how I choose to show up, on time, giving glory and honor to God, making sure I'm doing things that, although it may not be picture perfect, you're going to see that I do care, and I do show up, and I'm going to work hard. That commitment is relentless, right? I'm the first one there and the last one to leave, and that is evident in everything that I do. I give it my all. As if I'm on stage, you would think, I don't care how big the audience is, I've spoken in front of tens of thousands, and anything that I do, in my mind, it's God in the audience, right? So I'm doing my best. I'm showing up as if I'm performing for Him, because I am, every single day. And so those are those three, from that one statement. And I have a mirror. So just really quickly, I'll share this story. I used to be an RA in college. That's a resident advisor, if y'all are unfamiliar. And at the end of the semester, everybody would move out, and true to form, college kids would like leave stuff behind. You're not supposed to, but they do. And one of my residents left behind a closet door. And it doesn't sound a big deal, but this is a mirrored closet door. I found it on my floor. Yes, this like 7-foot tall gold frame mirror, from a closet. I kept it, and I still have it. And so what I would do is I would get a a whiteboard marker,
Mhm.
because that's the best, and write Bible verses on the mirror. Right. And I've taken it with me X number of years, because y'all don't need to know. All these years I've had it. It's moved across the country with me several times. It's still all in one piece. Give glory to God. But I use that mirror. It's in my basement now. I'm in my content studio. So when I'm looking at myself, right, I can see those scriptures and say them, over and over. And then they get inside of you. And then you don't have to, physically see that. So that's just a little tidbit.
Mhm.
If you can have a way, you may not have a 7-foot closet mirror that you carry around with you from house to house, but maybe a notebook, right? Or maybe, yeah, I'll leave it there. Maybe a notebook, or just a way that you can come back to that, and something that you can really get into your spirit. We memorize song lyrics from 10, 20 years ago. We memorize all kinds
Right.
of things. I highly encourage you get some affirmations in you, because
Mhm.
that is what's going to carry you through when you can't remember anything else in your darkest moments, right? You can always fall back to those. And just really quickly, you didn't ask, but how you create those affirmations is huge. I'm clearly rooted in the word. So everything I'm walking through, there's like a Bible verse attached to it. I highly suggest, if you're a believer, you do that, right? You can use other songs, you can use other media or whatever, but just realize that the foundation that you build your house on matters. We don't want to build our houses on sand, right? We want that good ground. So I would, as much as you can, take it from the Bible. And Google is your friend. You might feel a little intimidated, like, well, I don't know where in the Bible to come from. If you're not plugged into a good Bible study or a good church, or you're not under some kind of discipleship, first of all, maybe consider that. But secondly, you can just Google some affirmations, pray over them, see what works for you, and kind of go from there.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And like I think about like kids, like they have, Jesus loves me and, all the things, right? But I feel like I still play them for my kids and they're 6 and 7.5, right?
Yeah.
But it's also for me too. Like at the end of the
Definitely.
day, I'm like listening to it. I'm like, it's for me too. Like they're like, why are we listening to this every day? I'm like, because it's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's so important. So thank you for that. Well, I know we're getting close to the end of our time here. So tell me, like, what do you want to share with the listeners? Like, is there anything that you want to make sure you tell them about your business? Like, share more about like, how they can find you online. Share more about like what their next steps would be if they're like, oh my gosh, I have to get in touch with her as soon as possible. Whether it's on social media or your website, like tell us like how to connect with you the best.
Yeah. Well, my inboxes are always open. I may not see it, but someone from my team definitely will. So when I say my inboxes, I mean Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can always find me Caliah Jinaye today. It rhymes for a reason. But or my website, caliahjinaye.com. You can fill out the contact me form. You can see all of my services. There's no way I could just, run through and cover them all, but, take a look. You need some mindset coaching, or you want me to come in and kind of help your team, your leadership refocus on its organizational culture, your strategic planning. I got you. We can do that. But definitely follow along, my journey. I'm loving to build community, and I feel like, God has given us social media to connect with audiences all over the world. So if you want to invite me to speak, we can do that. Whatever it is that you need, even if I'm not the specific person to help to fulfill it for you, I can connect you, just like Jessica here, to someone I recommend. I'm all about building community in that way as well. So there's no gatekeeping here. And I also offer free consultations. So if you're not exactly sure where we can work together, we can have a free consultation. And if we're not a fit, that's okay too, because there are so many people that do what I do as well, and I don't take it personal if we're not a good fit. I just put that out there for everybody. Like, what? You're repelling people? Sometimes you have to. But you can, and if you just want to follow along and you're not on social media, go to my website, caliahjinaye.com, and you can sign up to be a part of my email list. We don't send a whole lot of emails, but we keep you updated on events where you can find me. And I do have a blog, so you can get, a little taste off social media as well. If that distracts you, I totally understand. Not everybody does social media, but just in case you do, I'm there everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, this is amazing. And I just love your energy. I just love how you're showing up in the world and you're always a bright light. So thanks for anytime I see your posts or anything that you're doing online, it's always like bright and cheery and spreading love and just, you know, like, because I met you through your dad, just
Yeah.
like, I'm just so blessed. Like your family, I could see like your deep roots at home. And you know, just coming up in that family and, you know, just seeing how, you know, like you're just a blessing in lives and your two babies like are so amazed. Like they're gonna be amazing too, because I can see like your light is like going to them. And I can't wait to hear about your trip to Australia. You're gonna be taking this cruise, you're gonna be going all over. I cannot
Yes,
wait to
thank
hear
you.
once you've done that, right?
Absolutely.
Because you've spoken out, God's given you that dream. And so if I can come with you sometime, girl, I'm like right there.
Okay. Don't be surprised.
I'm like, invite me along if they, yeah. I'm like, hey, guess what? Or I'll be calling you saying, hey, we got this trip to wherever. Is it? Do you want to go? Like,
I'm
bring your
passport
baby.
ready.
My girls are, yeah, they have their passports. So yeah, we're ready to go for sure. So I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And you were just a blessing to everyone. Those listening today, thanks for listening to our show, the Empowering Freedom podcast, our YouTube channel. Go and check out Miss Caliah Jinaye on all the different social media platforms, YouTube and all the things, and check out our website. Thank you all today. We'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.